I had a big, hairy, business-ending kind of problem. Naturally, I decided to throw money at it. Do I hire a seasoned, expensive consultant or the digital oracle, the artificial intelligence that promises the world for pennies? It felt like choosing between a horse-drawn carriage and a rocket ship. On one side, we have the traditional consultant, Jonathan. On the other side, there is the AI. It costs next to nothing and works 24/7. The stakes were high and my business was on the line. So, I hired them both. I pitted man against machine. This is the story of what happened when I let a human and an AI fight for my business. And the winner? Well, the result was not what I expected at all. The battlefield for this epic showdown was my SaaS company, software as a service, a glorious business model until it isn't. Our product was solid, our marketing was decent, but we were leaking customers. Not a slow drip, but a torrent. A full-blown churn apocalypse. For the uninitiated, churn is the percentage of customers who cancel their subscriptions in a given period. Ours was heading for the stars, and not in a good way. Every new customer we celebrated was quickly cancelled out by two waving goodbye. The numbers were brutal. Our customer lifetime value was plummeting, and our growth had flatlined. We were basically running on a treadmill, sweating buckets just to stay in the same place. I needed a hero, a strategist, someone to plug the holes in our sinking ship. So I wrote the brief. I laid it all out in black and white, a cry for help disguised as a professional document. I detailed our customer acquisition cost, our user engagement metrics, and the dreaded churn rate that haunted my dreams. I included customer feedback, a litany of complaints. Your onboarding is confusing, to I forgot I was even subscribed to this. The budget was tight, the timeline was aggressive, and the pressure was immense. This document, this digital scroll of despair, was handed to both champions, Jonathan the human and my AI consulting collective. The mission was simple, yet terrifyingly complex. Help this SaaS company reduce customer churn by 20% in the next quarter. It was a clear, measurable goal. There would be no hiding behind vague corporate jargon. Either the churn rate would drop or it wouldn't. This wasn't about feelings, it was about survival. I gave them access to our analytics dashboard, our support ticket history, and our CRM software. They had everything they needed to see the full horror of our situation. The digital keys to a crumbling kingdom. Now, the stage was set. The players were in position. In one corner, a man with a reputation for turning businesses around, armed with a notepad, a wealth of experience, and a very expensive hourly rate. In the other corner, a network of artificial minds, armed with infinite processing power, access to internet knowledge, and a complete lack of social skills. Both had the same problem. Both had the same data. The clock was ticking. I was about to find out if the future of consulting was a reassuring phone call or a perfectly formatted, instantly generated, utterly soulless PDF. Let the games begin. I hit send and the race began. My AI consulting collective didn't waste a second. My inbox pinged with a comprehensive churn reduction strategy and 90-day implementation roadmap. It was beautiful and terrifying. The AI had produced a 30-page playbook in under 5 minutes, packed with graphs and frameworks. The AI's analysis was surgically precise, but a little unnerving. It suggested sunsetting 40% of the customer support team. The logic was flawless, in a sociopathic, spreadsheet sort of way. The AI's strategy was a masterclass in heartless logic. The AI had given me a powerful weapon, but it had no idea how to wield it without causing catastrophic collateral damage. While the AI generated its corporate manifesto, the human consultant, Jonathan, was silent for 3 days. I checked my email and spam folder. Nothing. My AI had diagnosed my company, prescribed a cure, and designed the packaging. Jonathan hadn't even acknowledged the patient existed. Finally, a message appeared. Got the brief. Let's chat tomorrow at 10. Jonathan asked about my team, then dropped a bomb. Your CMO despises monthly recurring revenue. He was right. How could he possibly know that? Jonathan's value wasn't just data, it was understanding the invisible web of politics, personalities, and egos that truly runs a company. I play golf with one of your board members, he mentioned casually. I'll get him on our side. He was playing chess while the AI was playing checkers. The strategies were in, and then came the bills. 2 emails landed in my inbox. They were a study in contrast, a financial snapshot of the man versus machine dilemma. First, the AI. The total came to £78. It was absurd. Then, Jonathan's invoice arrived. It was also for $5,000. $5,000. That was just for the initial discovery and stakeholder analysis phase. I could have bought a new car. A study in financial whiplash. On one hand, I had a plan that was fast, cheap, and dangerously logical. On the other, I had a plan that was slow, astronomically expensive, and subtly brilliant. It was time to face the board, the firing squad. First up was the AI. I decided to let the machine present its own case, a bold move. With a few prompts, it generated a deck of slides that was breathtakingly beautiful. To deliver the presentation, I opted for a top-of-the-line text-to-speech voice. The disembodied voice began, walking the board through the cold, hard data with unnerving precision. The executives were silent, their faces a mixture of impressed and bewildered. The presentation was a fortress of data, impenetrable and absolute. It was the most compelling and simultaneously alienating pitch I had ever witnessed. For a moment, I thought it might actually work. And as the final slide faded, a hand went up. A simple question was about to be asked, and it would expose the fatal flaw in the AI's perfect world. Next up was Jonathan. He walked in with a single sheet of paper, smiled and made eye contact. The contrast to the AI's data-filled presentation was immediate. He started with a story about his unreliable first car. "Your customers don't hate your product," he said, "they just can't rely on it." He had them hooked, translating data into relatable human terms. He outlined 3 memorable principles on his paper, making a complex problem feel simple. He'd done his homework, referencing personal details about the executives. You need a captain who knows how to read the wind and the crew. He was building a coalition, turning skeptics into a team. He invited questions, encouraged debate, and made them feel like they were co-creating the solution. He understood you win by building trust, selling confidence. Just as I thought the AI had made a flawless, if sterile case, the VP of People and Culture, a formidable woman named Eleanor, raised her hand. She had a reputation for asking the questions that no one else dared to. She looked not at me, but at the speaker from which the AI's voice emanated. "This is all very insightful," she began, her tone dangerously calm. "But our biggest issue isn't our onboarding flow. It's our VP of Sales, Mark. He's brilliant, but he's also incredibly toxic. He undermines every department and creates a culture of fear. How exactly would your strategy handle him?" The room went silent. It was the ultimate, unquantifiable, human problem. I quickly typed the question into the AI prompt. The silence stretched for about 10 seconds, feeling like an eternity. The executives shifted in their seats. Then, the calm British voice returned, as confident as ever. "To address challenges with senior leadership, I recommend implementing a comprehensive leadership development webinar series," the AI declared. "This can be supplemented with anonymous 360-degree feedback surveys to identify areas for improvement in management style." I could feel the oxygen leave the room. A webinar. The AI's solution to a deeply rooted toxic personality problem was to make the guy watch a video. A small, strangled laugh escaped the CMO. Eleanor just stared, her expression unreadable but deeply unimpressed. The AI had taken a complex, explosive human issue and offered a generic HR-approved template solution that would be utterly useless. It was the corporate equivalent of putting a plaster on a shark bite. The bot had no concept of power dynamics, of ego, of the sheer chaos a single difficult personality can inflict on an organization. Its perfect logical world had no room for irrational, emotional, and powerful human beings. In that single moment, the AI's entire pitch crumbled into dust. It had failed the humanity test. The machine wasn't built for this. It could analyze 1,000,000 data points on customer behavior, but it couldn't offer a single meaningful insight on how to handle one difficult colleague. The failure was epic. It was a complete and utter misreading of the real problem. The executives weren't just looking for a way to reduce churn, they were looking for a way to fix their company. And their company, like all companies, was made of messy, complicated people. The AI's polished slides and perfect data meant nothing in the face of this reality. It had the right answers for the wrong questions, and it had just spectacularly demonstrated its own irrelevance. Jonathan didn't offer a solution. He leaned in and said something that changed the meeting's dynamic. "That sounds incredibly difficult," he said with empathy. "Let's table the churn strategy. Eleanor, what's really keeping you up at night?" He listened and validated her concerns, connecting on a human level. He understood the real issue wasn't the numbers, but the feeling in the room. Jonathan listened, nodding and asking questions, acting like a therapist. He knew he had to earn their trust before selling a strategy. It was emotional intelligence no algorithm could replicate. After they vented, Jonathan steered the conversation back. Given this challenge, he adjusted his proposal to smaller stealth projects. He adapted to the company's political reality. It was brilliant and showed he listened. He addressed the price, offering a lower initial fee to prove value. He read the room's financial anxiety and made it an easy yes, selling a partnership, the human one. Jonathan won the contract. For 2 weeks, things were calm. We implemented his stealth projects, small changes that didn't require approval. It felt like progress. We were making quiet, steady headway. I allowed myself a sliver of optimism. The initial results were promising. The churn graph wasn't a terrifying vertical line, but a gentle, rolling hill. But this is a story about things going sideways. The calm was just the universe taking a deep breath before punching me in the face. The call came. It was my CEO. "This isn't working," he said. "Mark just found out about your stealth projects. He's displeased." The fragile peace was shattered. I was back to square one. This was the crisis test. I hung up the phone and did the only thing I could. I turned to both consultants for help. I turned to my AI consultant, desperate for a fix. Its answer? Spam every lost customer with a barrage of emails. Discounts, checklists, even fake founder pleas. The AI's logic more messages equals more wins. But it felt tone-deaf, even desperate. Then, as churn spiked, it suggested an A/B test. Not on pricing or onboarding, but our company logo. The AI's crisis plan panic emailing and cosmetic distraction. It saw only data streams, not the loss of trust at the heart of the problem. The AI playbook was useless for a human crisis. Panicked, I emailed Jonathan. "It's all gone wrong. Call me." He called back at midnight, calm and unflappable. I spilled everything. He didn't deflect. He took responsibility. "This is my fault. I put you in the firing line. I own it." Instantly, my panic faded. He was a partner, not just a consultant. His plan? We'd call the CEO together, own the risk, and present a bold, human-centric fix. Jonathan didn't offer templates or distractions. He offered real leadership. He showed up at midnight and said, "We'll fix this together." With Jonathan handling the politics, I quietly implemented the AI's best ideas. Streamlined onboarding, targeted messages. The results? Immediate onboarding completion up 30%, churn down 12%. The AI delivered fast, efficient wins, metrics the board loved. But these were fragile victories, built on quick fixes, not loyalty. The AI patched leaks, but didn't make customers care. It bought us time, not trust. Meanwhile, a more important battle was being fought elsewhere. Jonathan's real magic wasn't in numbers. It was in relationships. He met with the furious VP, listened and validated, and turned an enemy into an ally. The AI's churn reduction was great, but meaningless without trust. Jonathan rebuilt faith, navigated egos, and saved the contract. The AI saw technical problems. Jonathan saw cultural ones. One gave us a lifeline, the other a future. The answer wasn't choosing one. It was combining both. Here's the twist. I was cheating. I used the AI to prep for Jonathan, feeding it data, anticipating questions, and framing problems in human terms. The AI made me a better client. Jonathan thought I was brilliant. We skipped hours of discovery and dove straight into strategy. The real competition wasn't AI versus human. It was old ways versus a hybrid approach. I used the machine to sharpen the spear, then handed it to the best hunter. It wasn't man versus machine. It was man armed with machine. I confessed my hybrid approach to Jonathan. He was fascinated, not threatened. We became a trio. AI flagged problems. Jonathan diagnosed and prescribed. I executed. The AI's speed met Jonathan's wisdom. Together, we doubled our results. AI's 12% churn drop, plus 15% more from human-led, AI-informed moves. We built a proactive, human-centric, data-driven system. The board was thrilled. The business was back. Who won? I did, by refusing to choose. The future isn't man or machine, it's both, working together to win. So, after all the chaos, we arrive at the final question. Who actually won? Was it the machine, with its instant data-drenched playbook and surgically precise recommendations? Or was it the human, with his slow-burn strategy and mastery of boardroom politics? But the truth is, the question itself was flawed from the very beginning. If I had relied solely on the AI, I would have failed spectacularly. Its strategy, in its purest form, was a recipe for cultural disaster. The AI gave me a map of the battlefield, but it had no idea how to lead the troops. Conversely, if I had relied solely on Jonathan the human, I also might have failed, just more slowly and expensively. The real winner then was neither the man nor the machine. The winner was the hybrid approach, combining them into something new, something more powerful than the sum of its parts. The real winner was me. AI provides the what, the human provides the so what. This experiment has fundamentally changed how I think about solving business problems. I started with a simple binary choice, man or machine, but I ended up discovering what chess players have known for years, the centaur model. In chess, a centaur is a team composed of a human player and a computer, and for years, these centaur teams have consistently beaten even the most powerful AI grandmasters and the most brilliant human players working alone. The human provides strategy, intuition, and creativity. The computer provides flawless calculation, brute force analysis, and an infallible memory. Together, they are unstoppable. This is the future of consulting. This is the future of work. It handles the heavy lifting of data analysis, freeing up the human brain to do what it does best: think, strategize, connect, and persuade. This model is the ultimate superpower. So what does this all mean for you? It means you don't need to hire a $10,000 a month consultant to get high-level strategic help. But it also means you can't just rely on ChatGPT to solve all your problems. The real takeaway from my bizarre and stressful experiment is that you have the power to build your own Centaur consulting team right now for a fraction of the cost. Start by embracing AI as your personal, tireless analyst. Don't just ask it trivial questions. Give it your data. Ask it to be your strategic partner. Ask it to challenge your assumptions and find the holes in your logic before someone else does. Use the AI to do your homework. Before you walk into any important meeting, spend an hour with your AI brain trust. Ask it to analyze the topic from multiple perspectives. Ask it for a list of tough questions you might face. Ask it to role-play the person you're about to meet. This preparation will make you sharper, smarter, and more confident. It will allow you to use your precious, expensive time with other humans on a much higher level. You'll be discussing strategy and solutions, while your competition is still stuck on defining the problem. The ultimate goal is to fuse the AI's analytical power with human wisdom. The AI makes the human part more valuable, not less. It allows us to offload the mechanical parts of thinking so we can focus on the parts that are uniquely human: creativity, empathy, leadership, and building genuine relationships. This is a profoundly optimistic and motivating vision of the future. It's not a story of man versus machine, but of man and machine versus the problem. So, I urge you to rethink your approach. Stop seeing AI as a simple tool. Start seeing it as your partner, your analyst, your sparring partner. Combine its power with your own human intuition. Build your own centaur. The results are not just shocking, they're transformative. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have a meeting with my two best consultants. One of them will cost me a small fortune. The other will cost me about 30 pence. And together, we're going to change the world. Or at least we're going to stop people from cancelling their subscriptions. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more tales from the business front lines.